Greetings and salutations from a very wet and very cold Hockenheimring. But we're so excited to be here because it's the grand finale. It is the very last race of the DTM season 2019 and we're absolutely thrilled. Of course, DTM meets Super GT and one of the most famous drivers, I guess, from the Japanese manufacturer from Honda is Jenson Button. He's already strapped into the car, ready for the qualifying, and he did pretty well yesterday, surprisingly well. So I'm pretty sure that today he's going to show even more performance, and let's see what the others can do. But before we get racing, of course, we need to get qualifying. So here's your commentator.
Greetings and salutations. How very formal this morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a rain-soaked Hockenheim for the final event in the DTM season of 2019. And there you can see various measures have been undertaken to protect oneself from the really rather drizzly conditions. We're expecting rain, unfortunately, for the whole of today. Therefore, qualifying is going to be in the wet, and all the predictions are that the race will be as well. So the cars will be heading out onto the track shortly, and there we can see Jenson Button, who did an extremely creditable job yesterday, finishing the race P9. So Jenson Button, the Super GT champion back in 2018, then driving, of course, for the Honda team Kunimitsu. Did a very good job, and well, there are mixed feelings as to what the drivers will be able to do with regards to the conditions which are going to be very, very wet today. There is the champion René Rast, who's finishing the season with a flourish, that's for sure. Took the victory yesterday. I think it was his 7th victory and 17 victories, as you can see, in 57 DTM races, and two-time champion, of course. And René Rast, an absolute machine at the moment, as the cars make their way down the pit lane, then towards the lighting at the end of the pit lane, and await the green light before they can go out and get their qualifying session underway. The Hankook wet's in full effect today, and time management going to be critical and crucial. There we can see just another one of our visiting drivers, and that is Nick Cassidy. Nick Cassidy, of course, Super GT champion 2017, and Nick very much a single-seater star and knows the Hockenheim track well from his Formula 3 days. He's driving the Lexus team Keeper Tom's car, and there you can see Jamie Green, the Audi driver, car number 53. Jamie Green then, who finished the race lowly P12 yesterday.
So forecast is that the rain stays through qualifying as it is at the moment, so maybe slightly less at the end of the session, but it could be like that throughout the session.
Well, just the news we were hoping for, not that it is going to stay wet throughout the session. There's no question about it. It will always be a wet track, of course, with the amount of rain that has come down in any event with this short, sharp qualifying session. Just 20 minutes now for grabs for all the drivers to qualify. Nico Muller, 10 podiums in this season. Already confirmed, of course, as one of the Audi drivers for next season in the DTM. And there he is in the number 51 car, engineered, of course, by Audi AB Sportsline. A massive crowd expected here at Hockenheim this afternoon, and they're already making their way into the circuit this morning ahead of qualifying. So much action on track during the course of the day. Lots to keep all the race fans completely and totally enthralled and entertained. And we are just a few seconds away from the light going from red to green, and the cars will be allowed out onto the track. And Bart Mampe on board the pit wall there, the team principal of BMW Team RBM. Furiously making notes ahead of this qualifying session. And on board then with Nick Cassidy. Nick Cassidy driving for the Lexus team Kerper Toms. Career statistics then, you can see 4th place in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship back in 2016, 1st place in Japanese F3 in 2015, Toyota Racing Series in 2013, and Super GT Star in 2017. So good to see Nick Cassidy back on track here at the 4.574 kilometer Hockenheim circuit. So we have just 10 seconds before the light goes green as Kazuhiro Kojima, the team director of Honda team Kunimitsu, looks on. And right now the light goes green and the cars are released. One hopes from the end of the pit lane. Indeed, from our vantage point, we can see the cars making their way out onto the track now. And Nick Cassidy just standing by to join that queue of cars as they make their way out of the pit lane and onto a very damp Hockenheim circuit for this final European event of the year in the DTM calendar. Of course, we head off as Arno Sensen looks on, the team principal of Audi Sport Team Rosberg and team champions, of course. We look forward to heading off to Fuji in Japan at the end of November for the dream race with DTM and Super GT back together again. And brilliant to welcome them here to Hockenheim as well. Marco Wittmann then in the number 11 car took P2 in the race yesterday. What can Marco Wittmann do in terms of qualifying today? One bit of news to bring you is with regards to Mike Rockenfeller, who will take a drop of 5 positions in the grid wherever he qualifies today. He will then take a further 5-position grid drop following a totting up procedure with regards to warnings during the course of the season. Jenson Button then, Super GT champion 2018, second place in F1 2011, of course, champion in 2009 and P3 in 2004, and now enjoying a stellar career in Super GTs, and did a stellar job on track here at Hockenheim yesterday, taking that P9. And there you can see, ahead of the many people here at Hockenheim, the rain coming down, sadly. So in the Nismo garage then, with Ronnie Quintarelli scheduled to drive the Nismo today. As we take a look around the pit walls with Ernst Moser, the Audi Sport Team Phoenix team principal, his driver, of course, Mike Rockenfeller, having to take that grid drop when it comes to the grid this afternoon, and whatever he does in qualifying, having to drop down 5 places. So now the conditions here could play into the hands a little bit of our Motorsport and Aston Martin. Let's see how they perform in qualifying. Mike Rockenfeller with 6 podiums in the current DTM season. We can see there in the number 99 car through the murk and mire of the rain-swept conditions here at Hockenheim. A couple of moments before we get any meaningful times on the screen, and we will bring those to you as soon as they begin to come in. So all cars shod with the Hankook wet weather tyres then. Jun Yamada, the team director of Lexus team Keeper Toms, looks on. And Nick Cassidy in the car then. Accelerates down towards the Sachs turn now, the banked Sachs turn, of which he will be very familiar from his days racing in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Just 2 turns to do for Nick Cassidy now. The final one of those, the Sudkurve. And heads towards the timing line now. Just tiptoeing the car around, feeling where the extent of grip is and isn't. And Jamie Green following behind. Yutaka Suzuki, then the team director for Nismo, is looking on as well. And Ronnie Quintarelli inside that car. Whoa, and you can see just as he files on the loud pedal, so the back end of the car steps out, good control, and this is Paul di Resta. This could be the first lap time that we will see, any meaningful lap time, and he has just the Sudkurve to do. So there is Paul di Resta heading towards the timing beam, which he will break, and it will give us our first meaningful time, which is 2 minute 2:37. Rennie Rast is on a quick lap as well, quick relatively, given the horrific conditions, lots and lots of spray, so critical for the drivers to make sure they've got space ahead of them so that they've got visibility. And Rennie Rast rounds the Sudkurve then and heads towards the timing beam and the braking of it, as Ferdinand Habsburg goes quickest with a 1:59.839, but as you can see, that's immediately beaten by Rennie Rast with a 1:58.072. Here comes Robin Freins. So Robin Freins then, who I spoke to very briefly with his hood up on his coat at breakfast this morning, and Jenson Button finds the extent of just how little grip there is out there, and Ronnie Quintarelli doing exactly the same. On board with Jenson Button at the moment. And there we get a very, very good look at the number one Honda Team Kunimitsu car, driven by Jenson Button. So having gone off and gone wide, that means that this lap time will be nothing to write home about. Indeed not. A P16. Thomas Biermeyer, the team principal of Audi Abt Sportsline, smiles then for the camera because his driver Nico Müller, one of his drivers, is currently P2. So Rast is quickest, then it's Nico Müller, then it's Ferdinand Habsburg, then it's Mike Rockenfeller, Paul di Resta, Marco Wittmann, Loic Duval, and Jonathan Aberdeen, who's been something of a qualifying star for the independent WRT Audi team. Puts his car into the P6 position at the moment. Jake Dennis is looking quick as well. Keep an eye on him. He's done a green and a purple sector. Green means personal best. Purple means better than anyone. And it's looking good for Jake Dennis at the moment, but we're watching Paul di Resta as he heads for home. So Paul di Resta, it was a P5, now it's a P1, a 157.7. Here comes Jake Dennis. Expect this time to be a good as well, and it is, as Jake Dennis takes 4/10 out of the Paul di Resta time, and Jake Dennis goes fastest. Yellow flag in turn number 6, which is the hairpin, someone clearly having run very wide there. Here is René Rast then. This probably is not going to be an improvement. Indeed not, because of 2 white sectors, which means there's no improvement in those sectors. Mike Rockenfeller does improve, though, significantly. He does a 155.097, but that's then beaten by Robin Freins and Nico Müller as René Rast, again, like many of the other drivers, just finds the extent of the grip available here at this rain-swept Hockenheim circuit. So Robin Freins now quickest, 154.586. Then it's Nico Müller, then it's Mike Rockenfeller. And at the back end of Jake Dennis that we look at now. For some reason, we've lost the P1 position on our graphics on the left-hand side of the screen. Worry not. If there's any change right at the top, I will bring that to you from our working timing screen. So Jake Dennis then, and Nico Müller again has gone purple in Sector 1. But we're following Jake Dennis, who is currently 10th fastest. Done a personal best through the first sector. What's second sector going to look like as his boss, Dr. Florian Kamelke, looks on? It's another personal best from Jake Dennis. It's looking good for the boy from the UK. Jake Dennis, who, like Nick Cassidy, raced in the Formula 3 European Championship here at Hockenheim, therefore knows the track very well. He takes it high around the banking of the Sachs Turf. And we have a yellow flag in turn 8. Which is heading into the arena section of the track. Müller has done quicker than anyone's in Sector 1 and Sector 2. It's 2 personal bests from Jake Dennis, so we're expecting this to be an improvement for the R Motorsport Aston Martin driver. Indeed it is. P1 with a 154.155 for Jake Dennis. Robin Freins is now second fastest. And then it's Nico Müller, then it's Paul di Resta. Ahead of Mike Rockenfeller. But now René Rast gives us our first sub-154 time, a 153.299 from René Rast, which is immediately beaten by Mike Rockenfeller and then Nico Müller. Müller goes quickest with a 153.087. This is Loic Duval, who's currently 11th fastest. It's Müller, Rocky, Rast, then it's Jake Dennis and Marco Wittmann. And this was Robin Freins going for a sliding time then. And just managing to keep the car out of the gravel. Well done, sir. Tempted to say that tickets available soon for the all-new Robin Freins stunt show as he drives very, very sideways. So Rast again on a quick one here. So on board with René Rast then, DTM champion, of course, race winner yesterday. He is absolutely on the edge. You could see how twitchy the back end of the car was as he pushes to the absolute limit to try and wrestle away that P1 position from Nico Müller. So René Rast really going for it, and he is. Sector 2 is another better than anyone. This is going to be a good time from René Rast. So we look at Jonathan Aberdeen at the moment, but it's the Rast time that we're keeping our eye on. It's a 1:53.087 that needs to be beaten. And Rast is on his way into the final 2 turns. So the order is Muller, Rockenfeller, Dennis, De Resta, then it is René Rast. But he is but a few hundred meters from the timing line now. Expect this to potentially be a new P1 time. And it is a 1:51.873 from Rast. But that's immediately beaten by Nico Muller, who delivers a 1:51.644. Marco Wittmann's had the cancellation of a lap time due to running wide at turn number 1 and not respecting the track limits. So it's Muller from Rast, from Freins, from Wittmann, from Rockenfeller, from Jake Dennis. At the moment, the best of the Super GT cars is Nick Cassidy with a 1:55.934, who we go on board with right now because he's done 2 personal bests, but he's got Jonathan Aberdeen ahead of him, which will have compromised this lap. So Nick Cassidy will have to go again. But he was doing 2 PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2, and there is the Jenson Button car. So Jenson Button on his way for another lap now. He's currently 19th fastest. So Ronnie Quintarelli also, who is P20 currently. So into the pit lane comes the Nick Cassidy car. Bailed out of that lap because of traffic ahead of him. There was no point continuing. So we have merely 8.5 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. Jamie Green there in the number 53 Audi has posted a time which is very, very good and good enough for P3. Here comes Paul De Resta. 1:53.172 gives him P6 as he runs a bit wide and holds on to the car. So at the moment there are green sectors, no purples. So the order is Muller, Rast, Green, then it's Freins, then it's Jake Dennis, the best of the Art Motorsport Aston Martin cars. Best of the BMWs, Marco Wittmann in P6. So 1:51.461. 1:51.774 from Mike Rockenfeller now, but just recall, Mike Rockenfeller will be taking that 5-place grid drop come the race in any event under the totting up procedure for warnings during the course of the season. He picked the 3rd one up yesterday. That means that he takes a grid drop today. Bruno Spengler is 6th fastest now, and Timo Glock delivers a 1:51.772 to make him the best BMW and P2. With 7 minutes remaining in this quali session for DTM. Final race of the European season here at Hockenheim. Jamie Green we watch. This could be another very good time from the British star then. Personal best, Sector 1. Quicker than anyone through the middle sector. What can he do now as he breaks the timing beam? Jamie Green, 6th fastest overall at the moment. But as he breaks the beam now, he improves 4 places to go 2nd fastest with a 1:51.608. So Muller, Green, Glock. This is Joel Eriksson, who's 7th fastest at the moment. Of course, we'll be visiting his home country in 2020 when we make our trip to Anderstorp. And Nico Muller again, the front end of the car, looking very twitchy. He's the quickest man thus far in qualifying with only 6 minutes remaining. It's a very, very busy track as every driver tries to find space to maximize what is challenging visibility for all of them. Glock with 2 personal bests through Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's currently 3rd fastest, and if he can put together a fantastic final sector, it could still be an improvement from this man, Timo Glock, that we watch now. Indeed so, he moves up 1 place. He's now just 9/100ths behind the time of Nico Muller. This looks like an improvement from Joel Eriksson as well, who's currently 8th fastest with that time of 1:52.480. But it becomes a 1:51.691 and propels Joel Eriksson into that P4 place, which means he's the second quickest BMW. Here comes the number 35 car then of Ronnie Quintarelli. Personal best through sector 1, heads to break the timing beam, and it's no improvement. Look, that is just an example of how difficult the visibility is. Yellow flag in turn number 13, the Sachs turn. Someone has run wide there and can just see from the from our position, it's Paul di Resta who's kept his foot in and will be able to make it back out onto the track, with a load of gravel being distributed nicely all over the track then for the rest of the drivers to pick up upon. So Paul then turned into the left hand, to the back end of the car let go, and he controlled it well, held onto the car and was able to keep his foot in. Paul di Resta is currently 12th fastest. Best of the R Motorsport Aston Martins is Jake Dennis, who is 8th fastest currently. So with 8th fastest for Jake Dennis, 12th fastest for Paul di Resta, Danny Juncadella is 14th at the moment, and Ferdinand Habsburg is 17th. So Joel Eriksson, we continue to follow. So Muller, Glock, Green. Then it's Eriksson, Rockenfeller, Rast, Freins, Dennis, Wittmann, and Sheldon van der Linde, P10. Speaking of Sheldon's brother Kelvin earlier on this morning, of course, Kelvin van der Linde winning a GT Masters Championship a couple of weeks ago. Well done to you, sir. There is Philip Eng. Eng is quietly going about his business. He's 6th fastest. No one currently troubling the top times, and Mike Rockenfeller will not do so on this occasion because the first sector has not been very stunning by Mike Rockenfeller's standards. So Muller, Eriksson, Glock, Green, Rocky, and then Philip Eng running out the top 6 at the moment. What have we got left? 2 minutes and 45 seconds or thereabouts. Best of the Super GT cars for Jenson Button. P18 at the moment. Now Nico Muller has just put in a quicker than anyone through sector 2. Depending on how shabby his sector 1 was, this could be potentially an improvement from Nico Muller. A couple of drivers have had times taken away from them for failing to manage the track limits in turn 1, and our champion Rennie Rast is one of those as Nico Muller rounds the final turn then. Is this going to be an improvement from Nico Muller? Indeed so, a 1:58.13 from Nico Muller, taking a full 6.5 tenths out of his previous best time. So good show from Nico Muller. Here comes Loic Duval. This could be a time to watch as well as he elevates himself from that P20 position on the chart at the moment to P9. An improvement of some 11 places for Loic Duval. Timo Glock improves a further place. He goes from P4 to P3. As we reach the final minute and a half of this qualifying session, we're live from Hockenheim. So Muller, Rockenfeller, Glock, and there he is, Mike Rockenfeller. Sector 1, not brilliant as he makes his way through the hairpin and then accelerates out towards turn number 7, which is a kink taken absolutely flat. We're on board with Ronnie Quintarelli now. A 1:53.875. Jenson Button remains the best of the Super GT drivers with a 1:53.4. Please bear in mind that these Super GT drivers have had very little running to be able to adapt and prepare and set up their cars for racing here at Hockenheim. So doing a very, very creditable job and in extremely difficult conditions. Nico Muller with a 1:50.813 is the fastest driver. This is not going to be an improvement from him. Nick Cassidy has done personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So too has Marco Wittmann. So in the final stages of this qualifying, don't think it's all over yet because we might see some changes. Don't think we're going to see an improvement from Nico Muller unless the final sector was something outstanding. as he heads towards the timing beam now. His previous time of 1:58.13 is somewhat vaulted by that 1:52.505, so didn't think it was going to be an improvement. Nick Cassidy, though, does improve. Nick Cassidy goes to P13. Brilliant effort. So Nick Cassidy, driving the team keeper Tom's Lexus, goes to P13. And here comes Timo Glock. Stays P3. The checkered flag is out now. Anyone that is on a lap, of course, the time will still count. Ferdinand Habsburg then. Jamie Green, Danny Junkadea. 3 drivers that are still on a lap. Here comes Sheldon van der Linde, who's currently 14th fastest and does not improve. This is Jenson Button. Heading towards the line now for Jenson Button, who does improve 1 place, goes from P19 to P18 with a 1:52.787. The best of the Super GT drivers at the moment is Nick Cassidy. P16 for him. Here comes Jamie Green, 4th fastest, and stays 4th fastest. There's no improvement there from Jamie Green. We've just got times to come from 5 cars. One of those is Ferdinand Habsburg. One of them is Danny Junkadea. And another one is Mike Rockenfeller. There is Paul di Resta. And that's just about the size of it. There is no one showing any sector improvements. Therefore, the order we have is the order that will stay. So Mike Rockenfeller, despite taking a time quick enough in the dying stages, where did that come from? By 13/100ths, a 1:50.8 means P1 for Mike Rockenfeller.
Timing 2 seconds, timing 2 seconds.
But
it was really good, guys. Fuck, it was getting more tricky because actually it was more water again.
Apologies for Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Colourful language.
Really happy. Okay, remember to go to the Parc Fermé. He will be at the beginning of the pit lane. Remember to go to wait and take the stick with you, please. Okay?
Once again, apologies for Mike's colourful language, but he has delivered a pole-sitting time. Sadly, we have in front of us the decision from the race stewards that he takes a 5-place grid drop. But nonetheless, he takes the pride of taking the final fastest lap time for the season in terms of qualifying with a 1:50.8. So the order is Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Müller, best of the BMWs, Timo Glock, then it was Jamie Green, Joel Eriksson, Marco Wittmann, Philipp Eng, René Rast, Robin Freins, and Loic Duval. Ahead of Jake Dennis, Ferdinand Habsburg, Jonathan Aberdeen, Bruno Spengler, Sheldon van der Linde. Then it was Nick Cassidy with a supreme effort for P16. Then it was Paul di Resta, Danny Junkadea, Jenson Button. Then it's Pietro Fittipaldi and Ronnie Quintarelli. And in the Parc Fermé area already, the Mike Rockenfeller, the Nico Müller car and the Timo Glock car. Here comes Mike Rockenfeller then in the very final stages of qualifying, delivering that 1:50.800 time. Great qualifying from Mike Rockenfeller. So the car's making their way, as you can see, into the very damp area. Drivers will be weighed, and Mike Rockenfeller rounds out the season then. The season which has only delivered, very surprisingly, 1 race win for him, which came in the second race at Assen midway through the season. But he has delivered another pole position. It's P1 for Mike Rockenfeller. Though, of course, when it comes to the grid, he will take that 5-place grid drop for the totting up procedure under warnings. So Mike shoehorns himself out of the car. And we'll be joined by Nico Müller and Timo Glock for the obligatory photograph in the rain. So goes off to be Wade first of all. So Mike Rockenfeller's 150.800. 13 100ths quicker than Nico Müller. So, as we have mentioned, he picked up his third warning yesterday, and therefore, under the totting up procedure, he gets a grid drop of 5 places. It's really rather sad, isn't it, that he will not be able to celebrate his pole position actually on the grid. But there we have it. Those are the rules, and he has taken that grid drop as a consequence. So, in discussions there with Nico Müller and also with Timo Glock, as they try and protect themselves from the rain for just a moment before heading out for the photographs. We've seen some classic battles in Hockenheim with Timo Glock in amongst it. Today could be another one of those days. So Mike Rockenfeller to the middle, then to the left-hand side, Nico Müller, and then to the right-hand side, as he often says, one of the old mans of DTM, Timo Glock. All super characters in the DTM and great fun guys to enjoy spending time with. Nicole Schlottmann sends them all over towards the cameras, and let's hear from Nico Müller, who's with Verena in the rain.
So here I am with Nico Müller. We're all sharing an umbrella. Congratulations. It looked like P2, but because of the grid drop of Rocky, you'll be starting in pole position, which of course is for you fantastic. So do you have a good feeling for the race, I guess?
Definitely. Our car felt good in the rain today, so thanks for the team. Thanks to the team because we changed quite a few things for today. I never felt comfortable this weekend in the wet so far, so we needed a little bit more, and they gave me exactly what we needed. So very, very good, happy with it. I thought we could have improved a bit at the end, but the rain intensified and it was very difficult to not make mistakes. So I think Rocky was that slight little bit quicker, and obviously, you know, a pole position tastes sweeter when you actually have the quickest lap. So slightly frustrated by not putting a lap together at the end, but I think we were strong all session, and that makes me confident for the race.
But quite frankly, I mean, it's a jungle out there. The conditions are pretty tough, so I don't think it's going to get better for the race. What is it like out there?
Very slippery, very, very slippery. And, you know, with these conditions, we are not allowed to heat the wet tire, and to get it up to temperature is difficult. So especially the first few laps when you go out of the pits, it's a nightmare, if we are allowed to say that. And yeah, it's there you can make a difference. You know, the ones who switch the tires on quicker, they can definitely have something play into their favor, and we'll try to use that for the race.
I bet. All right, thank you so much, Nico. Back to you.
So Nico Müller then crediting his team for giving him a car. He said that he needed a bit more today, and Sportsline have given him a bit more, and P2 for 150.813 time, which of course does become pole position because Mike Rockenfeller takes a grid drop. How disappointed is he? Let's hear from him now with Verena.
And I'm here with Mike Rockenfeller. Mike, it would have been a very nice position, but you have a grid drop now, so instead of pole position, you'll be starting in P6 today in the race. How does that feel? Is it fair? I mean, can you live with that?
It's a rule, yeah, it's fair in a way. I mean, if you look the warnings I got, I think it was never anything bad, but yeah, it's a rule, and race control decided like that. That's why I could only put it on pole. It's the best position I could get, so we are P6. I think it still can be a good race on those conditions, but the car was good. Was tricky in the quali session. It started to rain more again at the end, so I kind of knew that it will be the last lap maybe, and I was actually thinking that it's not enough, but it was good. It was a good lap.
All right, well, best of luck for the race later on. Thank you very much, Rocky. Back to you.
So Mike feeling confident then that he can deliver in the race from P6, and certainly wouldn't bet against it. He's taken one win this year. Can he make it two? Let's see as we round out the season. Mike Rockenfeller then delivered that 150.800. That was enough for pole position, but under the totting up procedure, he gets a 5-place grid drop. Mike Rockenfeller P1, then it was Nico Müller and Timo Glock, then Jamie Green, Joel Eriksson, Marco Wittmann, Philipp Eng, René Rast, Robin Freins, Loic Duval, and the best of the R Motorsport Aston Martin Vantage cars then was driven by Jake Dennis. That 152.242 gives him P11 on the grid, ahead of teammate Ferdinand von Habsburg, then Jonathan Aberdeen, Bruno Spengler, Sheldon van der Linde, best of the Super GTs, Nick Cassidy, and then it was Paul di Resta, Danny Juncadella, Jenson Button, Pietro Fittipaldi and Ronnie Quintarelli. Then rounding out the grid for the race to come this afternoon. 55 minutes plus 1 lap. And here comes the grid in full foot. Row 1, Nico Muller, Timo Glock. That'll be a battle into turn number 1. Then it's Jamie Green and Joel Eriksson on the second row of the grid. Audi and BMW sharing that, as they do the next row, because it's Marco Wittmann alongside Mike Rockefeller following his grid drop. Then Philipp Eng and René Rast, who go on the fourth row of the grid. It's P7 and P8, ahead of Robin Freins and Loic Duval, who have Jake Dennis and Ferdinand Habsburg leaning on them right from the very start of the race from P11 and P12. Then it's Jonathan Aberdeen and Bruno Spengler, a relatively quiet quali from Jonathan Aberdeen by his own standards. Sheldon van der Linde, and then the best of the Super GTs goes the way of Lexus and Nick Cassidy, ahead of Paul di Resta and Danny Juncadella, going from P17 and P18, and Jenson Button, P19 with Pietro Fittipaldi, P20, and Ronnie Quintarelli rounding out the grid for the race to come this afternoon. He will be going from P21. Let's go back to the very damp trackside and Verena.
So here I am in the wet. What an exciting qualifying that was, and certainly it's going to be a really, really thrilling race, especially because it's raining. We saw a lot of slipping and sliding, and I'm sure we're going to get that in the race as well, so you do not want to miss it. Now here are the highlights of the qualifying, and I'll see you later for the race. Bye-bye.